Share screen.
Try.
I gotta put my, this is serious.
Muchas gracias, Claudia. It looks beautiful. We'll get started here. Thank you. And we have a beautiful group of friends joining us. I love the name on Jen, Kai, Mel, and is that our friend Hamakua? Our friends over at Hamakua? Wonderful.
That's awesome.
Ati Pohai, mahalo nui for joining us. Yes, mahalo. Jen White's Morgan, that's a beautiful ocean view. Look at you. That's a beautiful smile, and you look so relaxed.
Oh, nice.
Dhaka, yes. Wonderful. Thank you, everyone. We'll go ahead and get started here. And we have a total of 9 participants, but I believe we've got a hui over at Hamakua. So I'm going to say we have 15 people here. We're so honored and excited. Myself, Claudia, and Tina, welcome to our Feel Good Friday self-care series. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, we have some simple rules. We welcome you. You're a new ohana. You are our friends. This is how we gather and end our busy, busy week. Those of us who have been on here, we do much needed work in our communities to keep everyone safe. And we do so much for others that my colleagues and I thought, what can we do for ourselves? So we inspired this creation of Feel Good Friday. We're gonna jump over to the next slide here, and Tina should be on. Tina, I hope you're with us. Text us if you are unable to connect, but the beautiful, the talented, the ever-giving of her time, service, intelligence, and thoughtful consideration of others, amazing mother, talented IT manager, senior information technology manager. To my right is Miss Mary Kari, and we're blessed that she's here with us today. Yes, yes, yes. We have a little bit of information to share about Mary. I'll go ahead and let her share what's on the slide, but before we do that, I just want to share something very special about Mary, and it's her Strength Finders. Just by a show of hands, how many of us have heard about Strength Finders? It's a possibility. It's an assessment where you can explore your top 5 natural strengths. And so in planning for today's Feel Good Friday, I asked Mary, send me your top 5 strength finders, because the idea is the strength finders will share with you your top 5 strengths, so we know a little bit more about ourselves. And when we know about ourselves, right, know thyself, we can better connect with our purpose and serve others. So Mary's top 5 strengths: she's a developer, extremely creative, and initiator of all great things. She's communication, excellent communicator. She is an includer. So if you're a friend of Mary, you're a friend of the world. She's a relator, and she relates to people, all different shapes, sizes, colors, types, and she's just so magical about that. And she is woo. Can you share a little bit about woo? Winning others over.
Yes. Pretty much.
Winning others over.
That's how it describes it. Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. So share with us, if you will, a little bit about your current profession, your education, real quick, because we're going to jump right in.
Yep. So so I was asked to do this bio, and I panicked, and I and I sent it in with pretty much no information in there. My current profession here at WHCHC is a senior information technology manager. So I have the privilege of co-managing our department, and we basically, we're the IT department, so we just support all of our team here at West Hawaii, and we do desktop support, network support, all the software, the EMR, the dental software, anything that plugs in, turns on, anything that our team needs here at West Hawaii comes through our department. And I have the pleasure of being a part of that team. So my title says manager, but we're really all a team in there. So
Wonderful.
that's part of that.
Wonderful, wonderful. And just highlight some of your favorite education and training. It's diverse, it's multifaceted.
Yes. So yeah, so I would have to say if I picked one of the best things on that list, although I love IT, please don't. I love IT, but one of the best things in the world was is my physical therapy education. It's rewarding. It's rewarding today. It was rewarding when I was taking it. It was rewarding when I was working in the field. And Leanne and I have had some discussions. Claudia was involved in a discussion just recently, and that's amazing. I've had an amazing adventure in my life to be able to do direct patient care and just clerical, everything there can be in the medical field. And I'm so blessed. And being hands-on with patients and helping them rehabilitate was pretty amazing. So
Yes, yes. So thank you so much, Mary. So everybody can see the topic. That's not a typo in the word writing. Writing your story with courage. The pun is intended.
yes.
Pun intended on this Feel Good Friday. Mary, we're going to jump right into hearing about your 3 top quotes that you've selected for today. But the theme, right, when we asked you, what theme do you think it encapsulates? You're like writing your story, but right, making it right, making your story right.
Yes. Yeah, I think it's really important. Something that, and when we get, I've been thinking about this for this last several days, as you know, and writing your story really resonates with me because I've started realizing that I've just been kind of trying to figure things out. I'm 44 and I'm a mother of 2 beautiful children and a wife of 24 years just recently, and I figure I'm always trying to figure out where I'm supposed to be. And I never realized that I had permission to change and to write my story. And I just always thought I had to do the things that I had to do. And it started coming to me. And I think it started coming to me when I saw my kids get ready to go to college. And I think when I put my son on the plane to go to basic training for the U.S. Army, I think
Germany.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. I think that when you see your children start to live their life and create their stories, I started to realize that I was I was a character in so many other people's stories, and I didn't have one.
Oh, well.
And so I realized, wow, you know, I have permission to have my own story.
Beautiful.
So it's and I think I've tried to do that several times.
Well, this is a stepping stone along that revelation, right? That you're going to participate in the crafting, writing, and editing of your own story. So without further ado,
let's go.
All right, let's go for it, friends. So Claudia, go ahead into the next slide. We're going to see Mary's first selection. And Lynn had 4 books last week. This week we've got 2. Mira Lee Patel, Start Where You Are. That's become a favorite. And all of these books can be purchased on Amazon, very reasonable. And by Demi Chase, It's Present, Not Perfect, a journal for slowing down, letting go, and loving who you are. So the quote that Mary will open us up in discussion on this Feel Good Friday. And as you all know, for the new friends joining us, we start with our guest speaker. We honor her ike, her mana'o, and we'll give her 3 to 5 minutes to share. And then we're going to call upon 2 to 3 of you. And to keep the flow going, we're going to keep it, if you're going to share, keep it to a 1-2 minute. We'd love to have a weekend, Feel Good weekend series, but we're limited to 1 hour. So without further ado, Mary, what was so powerful and important that you chose this quote drown out the noise. And for friends on the session today, on the right side, you'll see an activity, prompt questions, if you will, that you can capture on your journal and take with you into the weekend. But Mary, let's hear from you about this special quote.
Sure. Well, as you know, Leanne, you opened this book, and you were just showing me an example, and this page flew open, and this quote flew off the page. And it flew off the page not only because it's beautiful in color, and the words are beautiful to me. The drowned out the noise, something that goes back to how I feel about the permission. I've lived my life since I was little. I was told, you know, you do this, you do it this way, you deal with what you have, everything's going to be fine. You just don't worry about it. Basically, don't try to do any better. Just live and deal with what you have. You're fine. You'll be fine. I was usually never encouraged to do things because I would never be good enough anyway. So just stick with that. You know, your sister's better at that, so you just stick with this. And so all of these things, you know, I looked at this page and all this stuff just started coming in. And there is so much noise coming at us from right when we start living our lives to going into the teenage years of trying to figure out what in the heck's going on, trying to figure out the careers I've had. You know, I realized that in my life, I started letting all of that stuff just guide where I was going to go in my world. And unfortunately, in my life, I've had a lot of negativity. So I tried to drown it out, but I realized that even though I stopped hearing everyone else's voices, I started hearing my voice saying all of the same things.
Awesome.
And so I realized that I needed to start replacing the "you're not good enough." I don't even like saying these words because these words aren't allowed in my home anymore. But I used to, you know, "you're stupid," "you're ugly," that's awful. Just it was hard. I went from an abusive childhood to abusive relationship. And I tried so many times to figure out why I was broken. And this noise doesn't stop until you give yourself permission to let the noise stop and hear different noises.
Yes.
And
beautiful noises.
Beautiful noises. And I'm going to be honest with you, having you as new friends, you guys as new friends, and having Leanne, my noises don't go away. The negativity doesn't go away. But Leanne is a big noise in my head now. And there's things in my life that I've always wanted to do. And music was a huge thing in my life, huge. And I was told I wasn't good enough at that. So just don't even bother. And you know, as a kid, you think, okay. So I thought, well, yeah, sure, whatever. So I applied for the Arizona Girls Choir. Why not, right?
Yes.
I'm 12, I'm going to do it. You know, I did a lot of things behind my mom's back. I'm sure she was appreciative.
That's called leadership. That's called self-directed leadership.
Right.
And listening to your na'au.
Right. So,
on the right path.
I think so. So I was trying to find my story without realizing it. And unfortunately, because I wasn't good enough, I was pulled out of it. You're not good enough. You're going to embarrass us. It's not, I don't want you on that stage. And so I just carried that stuff through, and I allowed myself to be around toxic people my whole life telling me those things. You don't know this about me, but I was a teenage model, and I allowed people to use that in a very negative way. And And so that's
Mhm.
hard.
Yeah.
Those things are hard. And so
Yeah.
you hear these noises all the time. You're not good enough.
Mhm.
When you become a leader
Mhm.
and in a management position, in an ownership position, when we owned the company, my mother and I did. And you start doubting, am I a good manager? Am I a good owner? Am I going to do these things right? Because I keep hearing, no, you're not. No, you're not. You are not good enough. And I might not hear that abusive boyfriend in the back of my mind saying, you're not good enough. But I start telling myself, don't even bother, you're not good enough. And I'm tired of it. And I got tired of it. And I think what made me strong was having a daughter
Yes.
who I don't want to see tell herself negative things.
Yes.
And we don't need to do that.
Mm-mm.
And to see her be strong and to see her be weak and to see people try to break her and to see her try to break herself, I thought,
Not having it.
not having it. We don't
Not
have to
having
have
it.
right. And
Not
we don't have
having
to
it.
have it. And so to drown out all that noise, I think that is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen on a piece of paper.
Well
I just
said.
think it's beautiful.
Well said. So here we go. The theme that emerged, and we'll ask one or two of you to share. The theme that emerged in Mary's message for me was she went from a state of feeling broken to a state of brilliancy, of brilliance and brightness. And so that's how we all embrace Mary here at West Hawaii Community Health Center. And we recognize that brilliance. So I think for all of us, recognize that those that you come in contact with daily, there's a broken part of that individual that that exists, but your communication and your acknowledgement of that person is shining light on the brilliance, right? So mahalo nui for sharing that, Mary. Is there one or two guest friends that would like to share how you've drowned out the noise?
May I share, Dr. Lee? This is Tina. I just want to apologize for being late. I couldn't get onto the Zoom link for whatever reason. So I had to drown out my own noise in my head that was killing me. It was beating me down. Yeah, it's life, you know. A lot of times we have to drown out the noise from outside, but majority of the time it's the noise within. You know, when we beat ourselves up for mistakes or for misjudgments, miscalculations in our lives, you know, we have to rise above that voice. So that what I've been learning recently is about reparenting. You know, I know some of you have heard of that phrase, but it's really, you know, learning how to soothe ourselves, learning how to encourage ourselves as if we were our own child, you know. So how would I treat my precious, my gift, my child? How would I talk to them? How would I want them to continue on and to give them the courage to face whatever that life, you know, presents? And so that's what I'm learning to do for myself, you know, for that emotional side of me, for that little Tina inside, the one that has so much trouble with Zoom. The Zoom beast, the Zoom demon. But thank
I
you
have
so
that
much.
same challenge, yes. The 7-year-old in me has that same Zoom challenge, but that's why we are great friends with Mary and her brilliance around all things IT.
I'm here for you. I'm here for you.
Oh my goodness. Ooh, thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, Tina, for sharing. If we have one more member, friend that would like to share, if not, we will go ahead to the next. We have 2 additional. Oh, I hear somebody. Yes, go ahead.
It's me, Lian. So,
Hi, Ted.
hi, Lian. How are you?
Wonderful.
How's everybody? Yeah. So the way I drown out the noise is like that's what Tina was saying. Like there's always that inner voice in us that that tells us. Even other people don't tell us that we're not good enough. We tell ourselves that we're not good enough. And so, like at a very young age, because our father would always tell us that you are the captain of your ship. Nobody will navigate it but you. So better learn it at an early age that you are the captain of your ship and you are the author of your life. You're gonna be the painter and the artist. Whatever you're gonna paint on your canvas, that's gonna be you. That's your story. So I would always, at an early age, I would look at myself in the mirror and tell myself, I am beautiful, loving, and lovable. No, so just, I would do that. Actually, it's like, so even up to, so like growing up and going through so many life's challenges, I would always go back to the mirror and look at my face. If I'm really like really sad or disappointed or frustrated, whatever it is in life, I would just look at myself in the mirror and I tell myself, I love you, Tess. You're beautiful, loving, and lovable. So that's the way I, like I navigate my life. And I realized that life is full of paradoxes. It's like the worst experiences that we go through, those are actually our leverages to be the best versions of ourselves. So I welcome all the negativity and the failures that come into my life, because they turn out to be actually my catalyst, my leverage to become the best version of myself. And that's, like, so I can give others also the permission to do the same.
Thank you so much, Tess. We love you. You're lovable. You're amazing. We welcome you always. You know that. We welcome all of you always. Second quote. Okay, Tina or Claudia, which one of you are up?
I will go ahead and read this beautiful quote. If you ever find yourself in the wrong story, leave. I like that. That's real good. I like that a lot. Okay, Mary. So we want to know, why did you choose this quote, Mary? How does this apply to you?
So the first one was beautiful, but this one, there's just no words to describe it. This one, I absolutely live my life by now. Like I said, in the beginning, I realized that I was just a character. I was a character in everybody else's story, living the life that everyone thought I would fit in their story. And I all of a sudden just stood around realizing that, wow, I'm not that person. I don't want to be that person. This is not even in the happiest times.
Mm-hmm.
Those I've had wonderful journeys.
Mm-hmm.
But I realized they weren't necessarily my journeys.
Mm-hmm.
I was along for the ride, and wow, what a blessing. But
no, thank you.
no, thank you. I had other things, that I would have loved to experience, and it's not too late. And unfortunately, there a lot of times you see something like this and you think more of the negative, and that's what came to my mind first. And it's not a negative, it's a positive, because now I'm here sitting with you.
Yes.
But I have not been in Hawaii very long.
Mm-hmm.
We have only been here for just about 8 years. 8 years, December 1st. And the story that my husband and my children and I used to live was wrong. It wasn't the wrong story. It was a beautiful story that took bumps and bruises, and I don't know, we were on some sort of roller coaster for a while, and I think it stopped upside down. But it got to the point where it was leave everything that I loved or leave the story with everything that I loved. And we decided that we needed to just listen to what God wanted us to do. And we had never come here before. I had never seen the Big Island ever, until the day we moved here.
Oh.
And on the mainland, we had it all. We had amazing careers, amazing children. They did everything. But there were some things going on, and my husband's profession was taking a lot from us. And I will share that my husband is and has been a police officer for 17 years. And
thank you for his service.
Thank you for your support. And that started something interesting because I am a daughter of a police officer. And I turned off myself a long time ago, because when you know that you can lose someone in a moment, which we all can anyway, but when you know that the person you love signed up to be lost in a moment, you just turn yourself off. So our story was, I just lived, I took care of the kids, I did what I needed to do, I took care of my husband, I washed bloody clothes, I threw away torn clothes, I took care of a broken person when they come home after they would see some really horrible things. And our story started to eat us away. And we had a lot of outside influences. A lot of people, you know, were negative about how we were living our life and, you know, how we were treating our children. And, you know, why would you send them to horse lessons? Why wouldn't you send them to hockey camp? And, you know, just like all these silly things. And as we were going through the motions, and it's going to lead into our next slide too, we realized that, or I realized first, that I was trying to fit myself into something that I couldn't fix. I was trying to control making sure that my husband came home every day, making sure that I didn't fall apart, making sure that my kids were okay, and that they weren't bullied at school because their father pulled their parent over or took their parent to jail, or you know, I grew up in a lifestyle like that as a child. And my sister and I actually had surveillance because we had people try to kidnap us before and try to hurt us before and break into our home before. So the world that we were living in was scary. And my husband and I decided, you know, our relationship was bad, and it was breaking us apart. And I literally stood in my living room one night and I looked around and I thought, we live in a 3,000 square foot beautiful home on land in the country with all of this stuff that we can't use in the garage because we're working thousands of hours just so that we can have it all. And I never see my husband because we have a 5-minute handoff, we call it. He worked nights so I could work days so that we could do things for the kids. He would walk in, I would walk out. We would literally change hands of things, maybe give each other a kiss, say goodbye, so that if I didn't see him again, I said goodbye. And that was it. And I was standing in my living room and I looked around and I thought, nope, I got to get out of here. And it wasn't that I had to get out of that space. It was that I had to get out of the toxic situation that had become my story. I was trying so hard to find my story, and I ended up trying to fit everybody else's idea of what my story should be into something I thought I created. And there's like years that we could sit and talk about this because there's so much. And I hope all this is making sense. But and I'm trying to hold it together because there are so many times, and I always want to tell, and I was just sitting down with one of my best girlfriends yesterday, and she's struggling, and I struggle every day still. I wonder if I'm in the right story, and I doubt myself, you know, the noise again. But I work every day to make sure that I'm in the right story. I want to write it. The second I think that I doubt, I'm not sure, I take a step back, I look at it, and I say, is this my choice? Do I want to be here? Am I doing this for the right reasons? Am I doing it for someone else, or am I doing it for me? And we can do things for others. That's really what I live for. I want to bring joy, and I want to live what I love. But if I'm not doing it for the right reason, in the right context,
Mhm.
then it's not going to help anyone. And
So true.
I have to learn to take a step back. And
Mhm.
again, I always go back to, I have to remember to give myself permission to be okay with saying no.
Mhm.
This is your idea of what's good for me. This is not good for me. And I want to do it like this. So
So
That's why I like that.
beautiful. Wow.
I
wow.
feel like that's all over the map and makes no sense.
I
but-
think, well, on the other hand, I think it makes absolute sense. I thank you first and foremost. Mahalo nui to Mary, who has decided to have a chapter in her story that is called Mokuokiabe, Hawaii Island. So, and I hope that this is one of the most blessed and opportunistic chapters in your story. I know it has been for us, your friends here at the health center. So we thank you for that. And we thank you for sharing your story of courage. We appreciate that you're standing in your living room and somehow Big Island flashed in your mind. But we thank you for that. Folks, we're making great time. We're at 12:37. Claudia or Tina, I'm sorry, Claudia's going to take us on with the next quote. But before that, let's hear from one or two friends.
Is it? May I jump
Yeah.
in? I'm Sarah because also I came late, which I apologize for. So, and you haven't seen me before necessarily. So I wanted to first just introduce myself to say hi. I'm Sarah Spengler. I lived on the Big Island 2016 to 2017, went back to the mainland for a while and just came back where I'm currently in quarantine. And Claudia's one of my close friends who told me about this, and she knows that I think and talk about all this stuff all the time, and I've been trying to join you forever. So I apologize, and I don't, and Mary, I mean, I'm just sitting here, I have everything everyone has said, and Mary, especially for sharing your heart and your soul and all of this, so thank you. And I have related to things even from Tina, who came out and is talking about the Zoom. I've been working in Silicon Valley for the last 22 years. I couldn't get on the Zoom this morning either. So if that makes you feel a little better, yes. And then, these quotes, this one I have chills because I literally was just having a conversation with someone the other day where I was saying, I'm not playing this role anymore. I'm sorry. Like, if you need me to be in this role with you, then I can't have the relationship with you at the moment until you're ready to see the new role that I'm playing in my life. Although, I have to say that also having been raised kind of so first of all, talking about the voices, Tess was talking about the inner voices. Me too, like my inner voice, and I don't mean like in a symptom of a disorder kind of voices in my head, but my voice was so quiet. I never heard it. And I was so doubting myself. I would kind of outsource my self-worth to the feedback I got from the world about how I was doing. So I ended up in this story that looked really good and successful from the outside, especially the year I came to live in Hawaii. But I woke up every day kind of crying and miserable, and then also found a challenge to find anyone to give me sympathy because it's what do you mean? You're, how could you possibly be unhappy? Plus being kind of a perfectionist, if I can't do something well, there's so uncomfortable for me to do it. It was hard to hear my story. What story do I want to live instead of the one that according to society, my parents and everybody else is supposed to be a dream. I couldn't hear it. So I finally have started to hear it. And now I'm back realizing that this is the beginning of the story that I want to live. And then you have one of these moments like this, where you get on a call late, you don't know anybody who's going to be there and what they're going to talk about. And you end up with chills and feeling like, I think I just met a bunch of amazing people that I am first so inspired by your strength to tell your story and be that vulnerable, really believe in nothing stronger than being vulnerable where nobody can hurt you, but then to just all of this. So thank you. I don't want to take up too much more time, although I want to say one more little tip that someone gave me that is very silly, but kind of goes to the back thing. One little thing that I do every day, because one of the things I used to always say, I hate this about myself. Like I don't hate anything about myself anymore, at least not for, I try to say like, I used to hate this or whatever, but one of my relationship with my body, a lot of women kind of have that in common. But now I realize, like, I spent all these years telling my body I hate it, abusing it with like my crutches and vices, eating my feelings. Or yesterday my feelings tasted, 14 days of quarantine, there's feelings you might have to eat, tasted like pie, like macadamia nut pie yesterday. It was not too bad. But I put a little, to wrap it up, I put a little alarm on my calendar every single day at 9 p.m. comes up, thank you, body, I love you. Because I remembered that even all this abuse, all this hate, and here I am, like mostly healthy, and it's like been doing a really good job. So that started at least once a day, it reminds me that that's part of the news story. And I'm just really in tune 3,000 different ways. So I look forward to hopefully, continuing, but so thank you. And those are my little, I feel like I'm all over the place, but thank you for that time.
Thank you, Sarah. No, you're not all over the place. You are feeling good on Friday, and that's why you're here.
Yeah.
And we hope to see you at, yes. Yes. Thank you so much, Sarah. Is there any other friend that would like to share a minute or two before we move forward? Claudia is going to take us home with the final slide. I'm sorry, the quote that is so important and special for Mary. Hearing none? 3-second rule, hearing none. We're going to move forward. Claudia, take us forward. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Sarah, for sharing. I'm going to follow that tip, the 9 p.m. Alarm. I really love it. I love it. Thank you. This quote here, to live is the rarest thing in the world. Most people exist, that is all. To live is the rarest thing in the world. Most people exist, that is all. Tell us about this, Mary.
Oh, well, this is another amazing one that I just love and I absolutely believe in. And going back to before we moved here, that's exactly what I was doing my whole life. I was existing in it and not living it. I was getting up, going to work, working 60 hours a week, doing what I was told to do, just working like crazy, coming home, saying goodbye to my husband, taking the kids where they needed to go, doing whatever everybody else told me was the right thing to do, went back to college, did whatever I needed to do there, just wake up, do it all over again. I wanted to help people, so I'd volunteer for whatever I needed to volunteer for, so I shoved that in. I was a personal trainer, so every morning at 4, I would make sure to teach my class. And I think I enjoyed it, but I wasn't living. I don't think I stopped to really take the time to enjoy it, like take it in and live every moment. And I started realizing when I would look at my kids and say, did I sleep for the last like 5 years? I don't remember all of this, like all of these things, just all of a sudden like going so fast. And I think we all do that anyway, like, wow, time goes by, things, but I was just existing. And I think that's why that moment in my living room when I just started looking around thinking, we are not living. We are not using that boat that's in the garage anymore. We're not taking those family trips in that boat just to sit out there and, have fishing poles get thrown into the lake because the kids threw it instead of casted. We're not, we didn't, we're not enjoying life anymore. We're just going through the motions. And God got us here, and we were going to do something different. We were going to live it, and we started living it, and it was great. And then we started existing in it again, and we started going through that roller coaster of it all. And I started looking around, and I realized I wasn't alone.
Mhm.
And it wasn't an awful thing. It was just something you had to relearn. And I struggle with this all the time. So I have to stop and remind myself, you know what? It feels like you're living and you think you're enjoying things, but there are things I miss every day because I just do it.
Mhm.
And something that one of my biggest passions besides health and fitness is baking cakes and
Oh,
decorating.
we love cakes. We love cakes.
And
Friends, we love cakes, yes? No, Tina doesn't, but we'll take your portion, Tina.
and I love baking cakes and decorating them for people. And I started doing that. I used to do that and I wasn't enjoying it. I would just do it and deliver it and do it and deliver it. And I realized just a couple weeks ago when I made one for one of my good friends' 2-year-old's birthday party that I stopped and I enjoyed every single moment of it. And it was probably the best time I had by myself. And I'm sure I looked crazy because it was a mermaid birthday themed cake. And I made little animated creatures, and I would sit there and go, oh, look at this little animated creature. And I'd set it down. And then, I was having a ball. And I realized that, wow, that's living in your life. That's not existing. That's not just throwing something together. And that's having passion for something while you are bringing joy to someone else. And you can do both. You can do all of those things without just existing in the world. You can truly live, but you have to stop, take a step back, and make sure you're really living it.
Mhm.
If you're existing in it, you're not going to remember it. And there's a lot that I don't remember. And that makes me really sad because I have 44 years of life, and how much more time was I willing to let go of not remembering? I mean, I'm getting a little old, so I forget things, but
40's the new 20.
but that was my whole thing was,
Yeah.
you know what, how much of my life am I willing to forget about? And I'm not willing to forget about it anymore. And so you've
Amen.
got to remember to live life. Don't just exist in it.
Yes.
Make more mermaid cakes.
Yes, it's so fun. Anytime anyone wants to join me.
Thank you, Mary. What I picked up on is, you've got to have passion for something, and it's okay to have passion for something while being in service to another. And that's what we call in the Blue Zones Project world having purpose. When you have purpose in your life, that could be one area that inspires you to get out of bed. Cakes for another person because it brings you joy making it. It brings them joy receiving it. Just that alone, you'll live 8 to 10 years longer. Science proves that. Having purpose. So I just wanted to share that, but thank you for sharing how you're living life, right? How you're choosing to live. Claudia, I'll turn it back over to you to guide the way, opening it up to the team.
Yes, is there anyone that would like to share?
I just have one small thing to share real quick. I don't want to take up too much time, but I love cakes. I was lying. I love cakes. That's my problem. It's the sugar that's killing me, okay? So it's one of them things, those toxic relationships, you know what I mean? But I love cakes. Let me tell the truth. I'm just going to be real with you. But I want to share something because every week I'm involved with a group, Codependence Anonymous for women. So we meet every Monday on Zoom. But one of the things in our readings every week, we say that, we've been surviving life. But in CODA, in the Codependence Anonymous group, we're learning to live life. And so that's a stark contrast. For years I was surviving life. I was just barely making it here or barely making it there in my emotional life, in my personal life, in my work life. I was a workaholic. because that's where I was finding value. You know, I can see a return, you know, but then in other areas of my life was out of control because I was putting all my energy into my work. So that became a codependent relationship. My work became that. And so one of the things I wanted to share with you is I'm recently at 49 years old. I'm rediscovering passions that I had as a younger child, you know. And so one of the things that I used to do, I used to be involved with music and rap and different things and poetry. And so I rediscovered this recently, and I just lost myself in it. I lost track of time when I was writing my poetry and writing songs, and, you know, and then I felt alive. I was like, oh my God, where'd the whole day go? You know, where did this whole day go? But just wanted to share with you that when we connect with our creative gifts and we nurture that part of us, it's like nurturing our inner child and really caring and loving that space within us. And then we have something to give to the world. Then we have something that we benefit from, but then we also encouraging others in the world. So just wanted to share that piece with you.
Thank you, Tina.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We love you regardless about the cake, so we'll accept you. You know that. Thank you, Tina.
So anyone else would like to share? No, nobody. Okay, I'll move
I
on.
see Lynn on there. Can I call on Lynn? Is she in?
I was just saying, it's not that I don't want to share. I'm just trying to look at the time.
Did I
Other
know you were
people
going to choose?
for the first session. But Tina did the same when I came. I said real quick. I did the same when I came here. I joined the choir. It was like took me 40 years to come back to all the things I loved when I was a kid. I took acting class. I took hula lesson. I joined the chorus, and the same like heart sang days. And I realized we don't have so much necessarily time here. And why survive? Like Mary, same thing. Like all these things are supposed to make me happy, not make me happy. But what the difference to do something that where I know this is making me happy right now. So thanks. Okay.
Good. I think Lynn, were you gonna say something as well? I think I saw Lynn pop up here.
Because I knew for some reason Leanne was going to choose. You know, of course, a lot of this hits home for so many different reasons. Is if you were on last week's call, you already know that. But just with all of these quotes, one thing that comes to mind hits home is just that. Back to that quote that I had last week, you know, realizing that we ultimately have the power to make our own story and be the person that we're meant to be, regardless of all those critics out there, or regardless of anything that's being thrown in our way. Nothing's not for a reason, right? They're all there for a reason and help shape us to be who we're meant to be. And yeah, all very powerful quotes, and I'm glad your story led you here.
Yes.
That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lynn.
Anna's on the call, and she just sent a message, and she's so silly. I wish she would share this herself, but she says, at this very minute here, I'm coloring now, and I loved it when I was little, and I love it now. Thank you, Anna.
I'm sensing a Feel Good Friday celebration in the works. We'll have to plan that,
Yes.
men and women. Yes, that's beautiful, beautiful. We've got 4 more minutes. Claudia or Tina, I know we're gonna close us out by putting that last slide up, but I just want to share to our Hamakua Health Center team over there, Jen, Kai, Mel, and I can't see the last name, but Jen is going to be a speaker, guest speaker, Feel Good Friday. We mahalo you nui in advance, Jen. We want to put the call out to others to be a guest speaker. We work remotely due to COVID. COVID has, in essence, helped us to create Feel Good Friday. So we would be so honored to have any one of you connect as a guest speaker as we move forward. Tina, Claudia, I'll share that. I'll turn it back over to you both.
Okay, so this is the end of our meeting. We just want to thank everyone for being with us again this week, and hopefully that you will continue to join us, because there's strength and power in numbers. The more of us that participate, it just strengthens this experience. We also want to encourage everyone, share this out to your network, to your friends, to your family, to those you think would benefit from this type of connection. Please feel free to share it out. Also, we welcome feedback. If there's any feedback besides me not being able to log on time, I already got that piece. I already got that one. But truly, any type of feedback, if you have ideas for future subjects, if you have a book or journal book or anything that has impacted your life, if you could share that, share that with us. Maybe you can be a guest speaker and highlight that book for everyone. But this is a forum where we can all allow our lights to shine together. And this is a very special and precious moment that we have here. So we just mahalo everyone. Mahalo, Mary, for being transparent and sharing your story, your experience, strength, and hope with all of us. We would have never known, I would have never known your story in this way if it were not for this forum. So we just thank you. Mahalo, Dr. Lee, for being a trailblazer, for having this thing come to fruition for us to come and have this opportunity every week to come together. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you guys so much.
All right.
Thank
Have
you.
a wonderful, wonderful weekend.
Absolutely.
Thank you,
Happy
everyone.
Friday, everyone.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Feel Good Friday. Feel Good
We're dancing with
Friday.
you. Yes, we are. Get Tess, you're still going. I love it.
You can always rely on Tess. Go ahead, Tess. Me and Tess right now. We're on a battle. We got a little battle going on.
I want to eat what Tess ate today. I want that energy.
I know. That's all those smoothies she be drinking. That's what that is. All right, everyone. Have a wonderful weekend.
Aloha.
See you again next
Aloha.
Friday.
Aloha.
Eileen has a big chair in there. They said I should use